Hello everyone, welcome to the Open Mind channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the mysterious circumstances around the death of a Boeing whistleblower by the name of John Barnett. Who was John Barnett? Some background information. John Mitchell Barnett, born on February 23, 1962 and died on March 9, 2024. He was an American whistleblower who was known for his substantiated safety and quality reports to the Federal Aviation Administration, also known as the FAA, about Boeing's production of many different planes, including the 787 Dreamliner, and a death which occurred amidst a lawsuit that he brought against Boeing. Barnett worked in quality control at Boeing for 32 years, serving for 7 years as a manager in North Charleston, South Carolina. Barnett was one of several employees to actually go public about the malpractices at Boeing in the beginning of 2019, when he was mentioned in a New York Times article and was also featured in a 2022 Netflix documentary titled Downfall: The Case Against Boeing. How did John Barnett find himself a position at Boeing? After graduating from the United States Air Force, Barnett worked his way into a lead position at Boeing at a facility known as the Everett Factory, which produced the 747, 767, and 777 planes, where he said he was actually impressed with Boeing's attention to quality and safety. The problems for John Barnett would start to occur after he was promoted. From 2010 to 2017, he worked as a quality control manager for Boeing in a different facility in South Carolina, which produced the 787. Barnett blamed a cultural shift between the Everett and the South Carolina facility on letters to management being from the military, where he said he was pressured not to document defects and to follow non-Boeing procedures. He characterized the defense-based management model as "we are in Charleston and we can do anything we want," and their wishes to push planes out the door and make the cash register ring. He later said that the factory and its management, the whole place smelled like French fries, referring to the practice of hiring mechanics whose previous experience was in fast food. After Barnett started going against the grain of the management, he stated that he was demoted and removed from his management position in 2013, for which he filed an ethics complaint. He was then reinstated by the same manager who demoted him to work in a separate department in 2015. In 2017, Barnett filed an FAA Air 21 whistleblower complaint against Boeing with OSHA. While working in the North Charleston, South Carolina factory, what reports did John Barnett make? Number 1. The use of defective parts and emergency oxygen equipment failure. Barnett claimed that in 2016, a senior manager installed a scrap-dented hydraulic tube in the plane. He filed a complaint with Human Resources. Boeing stated that they had investigated and did not substantiate those claims. He raised issues of more missing and defective parts to management, fearing that they had been installed. He claimed his bosses directed him to finish paperwork on missing parts without determining where they had ended up. No action was ever taken by the managers. Barnett claimed workers did not follow procedures to track components, allowing the parts to go missing on a frequent occasion and later being installed. He stated that these installations were to prevent delays on the production line and was a lack of the following procedures, because the last thing you would want in a plane is defective part, especially when there's 1,700 people on these planes. All of them depend on these planes being built with quality engineering. In 2017, Barnett's legal team found that 25% of the oxygen systems on the 787 would fail to send oxygen through the cylinders to passengers in case of an emergency. Barnett said that his reports to management were then stonewalled, so he alerted the FAA. Boeing's internal investigation did eventually find evidence for malfunctioning oxygen masks. Additionally to that, a 2017 FAA report did determine that 53 non-conforming parts were missing and ordered Boeing to take remedial action. The second report that John Barnett had stated was that there was debris in the plane. Barnett said that he was getting complaints about debris and various items being left behind inside the planes, including tools, drawings, and fasteners. On a test flight of a 787 plane, a ladder was found inside of a horizontal stabilizer. Barnett said that if he had not found that ladder, it could have fallen and caused the plane to malfunction. An entire ladder was left behind. A ladder. You know how big ladders are? The third report made by John Barnett was on metal shavings. Barnett reported that they had discovered clusters of metal shavings due to a process of screwing titanium E-nuts left near electrical systems of the flight control, which could have, according to John Barnett, catastrophic results if the shavings were able to penetrate through the wiring. He stated that he repeatedly urged his managers to take action on this, but they instead transferred him. Like we mentioned earlier, the FAA issued a directive mandating removal of the shavings pre-delivery. Boeing claimed that they had accompanying workers to improve the design and avoid these issues, but they determined that these were not flight hazard issues. I don't know, man, something about having sharp metal shavings near sensitive wires that could potentially plane permanently and all the passengers inside. Sounds like a pretty big issue to me, and I'm not even a quality controls expert, but yeah, it's crazy that they let that pass the system, and it's crazy to think that you could be on an airplane that Boeing has made that has this same issue. The fourth report made by John Barnett was in retaliation and hostile work environment. Barnett alleged that he was denied from several promotional positions that he was the most qualified applicant for, and he was demoted and transferred out of spite by his managers, which is an unethical work practice. John Barnett's retirement. According to Barnett's family, Barnett's doctor stated that job-related stress would cause him to have a heart attack unless he quit. Later that year in 2017, he did just that. In 2019 is when he came forward to discuss the numerous malpractices of Boeing with the British Broadcasting Network, the BBC. He also stated many other things, including overworking employees and not providing proper maintenance to aircraft. In 2019, Barnett appeared in a New York Times article raising additional quality issues at his former facility. Speaking about the metal shavings, Boeing subsequently denied his allegations. However, a 2017 review of the FAA had upheld several of Barnett's concerns. In 2021, after a 4-year-long investigation with OSHA had closed, the whistleblower complaint in favor of Boeing. Barnett and his lawyers appealed this decision and amended the lawsuit, claiming the firm had undermined his career because he had raised safety concerns at the Charleston plant. His attorney Robert Turkowitz criticized the effectiveness of the whistleblower court system because they do not have the power to subpoena documents from defendants. In December of 2021, the United States Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation released a whistleblower report determining that the FAA had actually failed to administer adequate oversight to address the concerns from Boeing and the FAA whistleblower complaint. Boeing had settled a criminal charge with the United States Department of Justice in September that year for conspiracy to defraud government regarding the fatal design flaws and maneuvering characteristics of the 737 MAX. So you can see that Boeing does have quite a controversial record within the United States. In early 2024, Barnett issued further warnings regarding Boeing's work culture and vehicle safety following the Alaskan Airlines Flight 1282, in which a door was literally blown off of a plane. I mean, can you imagine that? Let's say you're on the flight, you're kind of relaxed, you know, and then all of a sudden you hear a big boom noise and the door of your plane is off. An investigation report went into this incident, and the report found that the door plug was missing 4 bolts that helped keep it in place. Investigators believe the bolts were not reinstalled during repairs at a Boeing factory in Washington. I think as the viewer, it's important that you keep this in mind. Boeing is $100 billion company making these kinds of mistakes. We talked about it earlier with the oxygen equipment. This shows you the lack of urgency that they have for the human lives that enter their planes. Now that we have covered the controversial history of Boeing in the legal system, let's talk about the death of John Barnett and the circumstances around it. Barnett was in Charleston, South Carolina, the week of March 12, 2024 for a deposition stemming from his 2017 whistleblower complaint against Boeing. Before his death, he had given a deposition and had been undergoing direct examination by his own legal team and cross-examination by Boeing's legal team. According to March 2024 interview with his lawyer was supposed to be set up, his lawyer Brian Kowals, Barnett was supposed to report for a 3rd day for his deposition for further questioning. However, he did not show up or respond to any calls. The next day at 9:42 a.m. on March 9th, a hotel staff member heard a gunshot. At 10 a.m., Barnett's attorney called the hotel asking for a wellness check. Sadly, after this, John Barnett was found dead in the hotel parking lot in his truck with a gunshot wound to the head, with a legally owned handgun, and his fingers still on the trigger. There was a note left behind in the passenger seat of the vehicle which read, "I cannot do this any longer, and I pray that Boeing pays." Now let's take a look at some of the possible motives Boeing could have had to have someone like John Barnett killed. Number 1, maintaining a corporate image. Boeing is one of the largest aerospace companies in the world and has a strong interest in maintaining its reputation. Negative press, especially related to safety and quality issues, can really damage a company's image, stock prices, and customer trust. Let's take a look at the second reason, avoiding legal and financial consequences. Whistleblower allegations, especially those related to safety and quality control, can lead to lawsuits and regulatory fines and costly recalls and repairs. The financial stakes could have been high, and some might speculate that the silencing of a whistleblower could have been a way to avoid these repercussions. The third reason, protecting contracts and sales. Boeing has significant contracts with airlines, governments, and military. If a whistleblower claims were to be found true, it could cause major customers to cancel cancel their orders, or it can cause a regulatory body to ban and limit the use of Boeing aircrafts. This could have enormous financial impacts on the company. The fourth reason, limiting industry impact. If the whistleblower claims by John Barnett were proven true, it could lead to a broader investigation into Boeing and its industry-wide practices. This could result in new regulations and stricter oversight, increasing operational costs. The fifth and final reason, protecting leadership. High-level executives might felt threatened by the whistleblower complaints that John Barnett had made. This suggests mismanagement and negligence from their end. Some might speculate that they had gone to great lengths in order to protect their positions and avoid accountability. Now that we have discussed the possible motives of Boeing, let's talk about the two possible theories on how Boeing allegedly killed John Barnett. Number one, psychological and physical stress. There is evidence that managers at the South Carolina plant where John Barnett used to work harassed him and showed hostile behaviors towards him. There is also evidence that managers from this facility would send him ominous messages and emails. The information on what exactly was in these emails has not been public since this is still an ongoing case. We also discussed earlier how John Barnett had stress-related cardiovascular issues while working in the South Carolina facility. The second theory revolves around hitmen. The second theory states that Boeing hired professional hitmen to kill John Barnett and make it look like a suicide. The evidence for this theory is that a lot of people who were close to John Barnett said that if anything was to happen to him, it wasn't him, it was Boeing, and people like his lawyer stated that John Barnett seemed very happy with the evidence he and his legal team were able to gather against Boeing before his tragic death. Sadly, this is all the information we have on John Barnett's case. As a reminder, John Barnett's case is still ongoing. At the end of the day, whether we are talking about mega corporations or even smaller businesses, transparency and accountability are what keep us as the consumer safe. John Barnett's story is a powerful reminder on how it is crucial for companies to prioritize safety and listen to those on the front lines of its safety and management. Hello everyone, this is my outro, and if I sound less monotone, that's because this is my outro. So if you made it this far, I'd like to thank you. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and share it with someone who also might be interested in this topic. Also, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and always keep questioning the world around you.